internet because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it, and also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
Teen-year-olds to find out what violent games do to them.
There's no evidence to suggest that exposure to violent video games is associated with violent criminal behavior.
But Dr. Victor Strasburger says today's video games are more real, more intense than anything that's come before.
Kids spend an incredible amount of time with the media. They see increasingly violent media. Why in this country would we spend $250 billion a year on advertising if we didn't think advertising affected people?
We need to stop blaming violent video games for mass shootings. Video games are played all over the world, but mass shootings are a uniquely American problem. So why have video games been getting the blame for the last 20 years?
We go through this thing called the moral panic.
This is Professor Patrick Markey from Villanova. He literally wrote the book on violent video games and mass shootings.
Typically, the older generation is fearful of something that a younger generation is adopting that they don't totally understand or they don't see value in.
That violent video games actually decrease violence. To start off, let's look at some real-world data from a 2014 study. If violent games did increase violence, you should see some sort of increase in crime after a big video game sale, right? But here, researchers found that every time there was a spike in video game sales, there was actually a decrease in assaults afterwards. Another study found that a 10% increase in violent video game sales was associated with a 0.3% decrease in crime. This effect was not seen in non-violent games.
So after playing video games, it usually actually calms me down. After a long day at work or kind of dealing with the kids, whether it's a first-person shooter or a game like Mario Odyssey, it kind of allows you to get your stress out for the day. So it doesn't always, I may get revved up, so I'm excited about it, but it doesn't make me revved up like I'm gonna want to go run a marathon. It's more just enthused or excited. But for the most part, I usually just feel more relaxed, and it's part of my winding down at the end of the day activity. So that would be the biggest thing I get out of it, and the feeling I feel after playing video games.
I mean, I really have no feeling of it. I just feel like myself. That's really it. Violent video games don't really affect me per se, but I can see how they affect people, but they don't really affect me.
Not really. I mean, it depends on the game you're playing, but it really doesn't affect you in the long run as violence per se. You don't really know just or care about actual violence.